There is a tremor running through world football that began as a quiet boardroom decision and has now become front-page controversy. Real Madrid, sources say, will not send a single representative to this year's Ballon d'Or in Paris, turning what should be a glittering celebration into a point of confrontation between Europe's most famous club and the awards organisers. The boycott is not a spur-of-the-moment protest, but the latest act in a feud that exploded last year when Vinicius Jr. was passed over for the prize, an outcome that left the club furious and convinced its leadership that the selection process no longer respects the achievements of their players. That wound, combined with a season that has only sharpened rivalries, apparently convinced President Florentino Perez to take a hard line, abstain entirely rather than play the part of an onlooker on a night that seemed stacked in favour of Barcelona names and narratives. Reports suggest France Football tried to patch things up in recent weeks with conciliatory gestures and direct outreach to the club, but those efforts failed to bridge the gulf, and discussions collapsed, leaving organisers with the awkward prospect of proceeding without the club, whose white shirts have shaped so many stories in the modern game. The optics are immediate and brutal. 3 players with recent ties to the club still appear among the nominees, but the Bernabeu's presence will be absent in Paris, and that empty delegation reads as a louder statement than any interview. Journalists and pundits will talk about votes and numbers, but fans will see the empty seats and draw their own conclusions. For many Madridistas, the boycott is a principled stand, an insistence that perceived injustices won't be normalised. For others, it is a wrenching decision that punishes the very players who chased excellence all season. The players themselves are caught in the middle. Nominees who trained, scored and sacrificed now face the surreal prospect of recognition without the handshake, applause or shared celebration that usually follows. Beyond emotion, this is an institutional test. How awards bodies balance domestic league feats, continental conquests and individual brilliance is always contested. What changes when a top club publicly rejects the forum? Vendors, broadcasters and sponsors watch closely because the value of a gala is measured not just by trophies handed out, but by the legitimacy conferred by the attendees. A high-profile absence can reshape how committees choose to present winners and who they invite to the table. Meanwhile, Barcelona's names have been loudly discussed in this year's shortlist, and if the ceremony becomes a night of Blaugrana celebration while Madrid stays away, the narrative will be impossible to ignore. Victory on the field paired with public marginalisation of it. What happens next will matter more than any single acceptance speech. Will France Football tweak its optics or open formal dialogue? Will governing bodies step in to mediate? Or does this mark the start of a colder, more transactional relationship between clubs and the awards that once felt sacrosanct? The theatre in Paris will go on as scheduled, but it will not be business as usual. When the lights dim and the winners are announced, the empty space where a delegation might have sat will carry a message louder than any trophy, reminding the football world that prestige, politics and protest are now inseparable parts of the same game.